November 24th, a date that has witnessed America making fateful choices with consequences that would echo for generations. It's a day when a nation's mourning began, when a peace deal became a prelude to collapse, and when foreign policy backfired spectacularly. What connects these events? A failure to see the long-term impact of today's decisions. This is the story of America's greatest mistakes on November 24th. History often turns on small decisions. A rushed investigation, a flawed agreement, a miscalculated statement. What seems like a solution in the moment can unravel in ways no one could predict. On this November 24th, we're examining three critical errors: investigation that failed a nation, a peace deal that paved the way for chaos, and a foreign policy stance that damaged global standing. Let's begin with the day America needed answers. Mistake number 1. The Warren Commission, a rushed investigation, 1963. It's 1963. America is reeling from the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The nation is desperate for answers, and the government is under pressure to provide them quickly. The context: just days after JFK's assassination, there was immense public pressure to explain what happened and combat growing conspiracy theories. The November 24th catalyst. On November 24th, 1963, nightclub owner Jack Ruby shot and killed Lee Harvey Oswald, the prime suspect in JFK's assassination, live on television. This shocking event made a thorough public trial impossible. The mistake: in response, President Lyndon B. Johnson established the Warren Commission. The critical error was the rush to provide a definitive conclusion amid national trauma. The commission largely accepted CIA and FBI findings without sufficient independent verification, ignored contradictory evidence, and prioritized national closure over meticulous investigation. The consequence: the Warren Commission's conclusion of a lone gunman failed to convince much of the American public. Its shortcomings fueled decades of conspiracy theories, permanently damaging trust in government institutions and creating a cultural wound that has never fully healed. The lesson: rushing a complex investigation to provide comfort during a national trauma can create more profound, lasting damage than taking the time to find the complete truth. Mistake number 2. The U.S. Taliban peace deal. A prelude to collapse, 2020. From a domestic investigation that failed a nation, to a foreign policy decision that would lead to international humiliation. The context: after 20 years of war, multiple U.S. administrations sought an exit from Afghanistan. The Trump administration pursued direct talks with the Taliban, the November 24th agreement. While the initial deal was signed in February 2020, it was on November 24th, 2020, that the Trump administration officially announced a further troop drawdown, cementing the deal's implementation. The mistake: the fatal flaw was negotiating with the Taliban while marginalizing the US-backed Afghan government. The deal set a firm withdrawal date without requiring the Taliban to make a genuine power-sharing agreement, effectively handing them a victory timetable and demoralizing the Afghan security forces. The consequence: the deal directly enabled the Taliban's rapid military takeover in 2021. The chaotic U.S. withdrawal, the loss of American lives at Kabul airport, and the abandonment of Afghan allies became one of the most significant foreign policy failures in modern American history, severely damaging U.S. credibility with allies worldwide. The lesson: a peace deal that excludes the legitimate government you are supposed to be supporting is not a strategy for peace. It's a blueprint for surrender. Mistake number 3. The 2022 China policy misreading global sentiment. From a military failure to a diplomatic miscalculation, where America failed to accurately gauge the global landscape. The context: in late 2022, rare protests erupted in China against the government's strict zero-COVID policy. The world was watching how major powers would respond. The November 24th statement. On November 24th, 2022, the U.S. State Department issued statements supporting the right to peaceful protest in China. The mistake: while morally sound, the statement was a strategic miscalculation. It was immediately condemned by Beijing as foreign interference, allowing the Chinese government to deflect from domestic criticism and frame the protests as a US-backed plot, thereby strengthening its nationalist narrative and cracking down harder on dissent. The consequence? The move further poisoned US-China relations at a critical time, contributing to a new era of great power confrontation. It demonstrated a failure of nuanced diplomacy and showed how good intentions, without strategic subtlety, can backfire and ultimately harm the very people they aim to support. The lesson: in international diplomacy, moral support must be balanced with strategic foresight. Public statements that can be easily weaponized by an adversary often do more harm than good. Conclusion: so what connects a rushed investigation, a flawed peace deal, and a diplomatic misstep? They all represent failures of patience and strategic foresight. In each case, the desire for a quick solution, whether for public closure, a political win, or moral clarity, overrode the careful, complex work required for a truly successful outcome. The consequences were shattered trust, geopolitical chaos, and strengthened adversaries. November 24th teaches us that the most expensive mistakes are often not of malice, but of haste. The lesson is that in governance and diplomacy, the easy answer is usually the wrong one. Which of these strategic failures do you find most damaging? Let me know in the comments. If you believe in learning from history's hard lessons, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.